The Grand Plaza Hotel had seen better days. Standing 12 stories tall in downtown Chicago, its once elegant façade was now weathered, and its golden revolving doors were tarnished. But as I stood on the cracked sidewalk with the keys in my hand, all I could see was possibility. "Sarah, darling." My Aunt Victoria's voice dripped with false sympathy as she stepped out of her Mercedes. "We're having a family dinner tonight to discuss the estate. Surely you'll be reasonable about this situation." I turned to face her, noting how she carefully avoided touching anything around the hotel entrance. "There's nothing to discuss, Aunt Victoria. Grandpa Joe left the hotel to me." "A bankrupt hotel," my cousin Richard chimed in, emerging from the passenger seat in his designer suit. "Face it, Sarah. The old man lost his mind at the end. This place is worthless." Maybe they were right. On paper, Grandpa had been losing money for years. The once prestigious hotel had fallen into disrepair, its guest list dwindling, its reputation fading. Every financial report showed mounting debts and declining revenue. But something didn't add up. My name is Sarah Chin, and until last week I was a forensic accountant at one of Chicago's top firms. I'd spent 5 years tracking financial fraud and uncovering hidden assets. One thing I'd learned: numbers tell stories, if you know how to read them. "The family dinner is at 7, Aunt Victoria called as they retreated to their car. "Don't be late. And Sarah, do try to dress appropriately." I waited until their Mercedes disappeared around the corner before entering the hotel. The lobby, despite its shabby appearance, still held echoes of its former glory. Marble floors peeked out beneath worn carpets. Crystal chandeliers, dulled by dust, still hung intact. And everywhere, little touches spoke of my grandfather's attention to detail. "Miss Sarah." Manuel, the elderly bellhop who had worked here since I was a child, hurried over. "We've been waiting for you." "How many staff stayed?" I asked. 12 of us. The core team. We weren't sure what would happen after Mr. Joe passed." I squeezed his hand. "You did the right thing, Manuel. Is his office still sealed?" "Just as he left it. Though your cousins tried to get in last week. Mr. Richard said he was conducting an inventory for the estate." I bet he did. Grandpa Joe's office occupied the entire mezzanine level, overlooking the lobby through frosted glass windows. I'd spent countless hours there as a child doing homework while he worked. He taught me about business, hospitality, and the stories behind numbers. "A hotel isn't just a building, sweet pea," he'd say, showing me the books. "It's a theater where every guest story plays out. Our job is to make sure their story has a happy ending." The office door opened with a familiar creak. Everything was exactly as I remembered. The massive oak desk, the wall of leather-bound ledgers, the old safe that had fascinated me as a child. But something was different. The safe door, always closed in my memory, was slightly ajar. "Manuel." I called down the stairs. "Did anyone manage to open the safe?" "No, Miss Sarah. Mr. Richard tried, but no one knows the combination. Your aunt wanted to hire a locksmith, but I told them we had to wait for you." I approached the safe slowly. It was an old Drummond model, the kind they don't make anymore. Grandpa had taught me the combination on my 16th birthday. Every hotel needs its secret, sweet pea. And every secret needs a keeper. The numbers were significant dates: the hotel's opening day, my grandmother's birthday, and the day he paid off the original mortgage. As I went to close the safe door properly, I noticed something odd. A slight gap in the metal backing. My heart started racing. I'd seen this before in my forensic work. A false back hiding a secondary compartment. Carefully I pressed the panel. Clicked, then swung open. Inside was a single leather-bound book, newer than the ledgers on the wall, and a sealed envelope with my name on it. "Dear Sarah, if you're reading this, then everything has gone according to plan. You've inherited the hotel and our family thinks it's worthless. Perfect. What they don't know, what I've kept hidden for the past 15 years, is that the Grand Plaza isn't failing. It's thriving, but not in the way they'd understand. The ledgers on the wall show what I wanted them to see. This book shows the truth. Before you open it, you need to understand why I chose you for this inheritance. You see patterns others miss. You know numbers are just symbols for something deeper. Most importantly, you understand that true value isn't always visible on the surface. The Grand Plaza has a secret, sweet pea, one that would destroy it if the wrong people found out. That's why I needed everyone to believe it was failing. That's why I needed you, Someone who would see the truth behind the numbers. Read this ledger carefully. Then go to room 1207 at exactly midnight. What you find there will explain everything. Love, Grandpa. P.S. Don't go to the family dinner. They're planning to pressure you into selling. Besides, the real story is in the basement, and you'll need time to find it before they realize what's happening. My hands trembled as I opened the secret ledger. The first page was a balance sheet, but unlike anything I'd seen in the official books. These numbers told a completely different story. The Grand Plaza wasn't just solvent, it was incredibly profitable. But the money wasn't coming from hotel operations. At least not entirely. There were coded entries, references to something called Project Legacy, and payments from numbered accounts that would have made my former colleagues salivate. But it was the note on the last page that made my blood run cold. The real treasure isn't in the numbers, sweet pea. It's in what the numbers are protecting. Find the basement key. Everything else will make sense then. My phone buzzed. Aunt Victoria. Dinner in an hour. The family has a very generous offer for that wreck of yours. I smiled, clutching the ledger in my hands. Sorry, can't make it. Too busy being poor and worthless. I had 6 hours until midnight, and a basement to find. History, it turned out, wasn't just about recording events. It was about correcting them. During World War II, countless artworks and cultural treasures were stolen, Dr. Klein explained as we walked through the gallery. Many were never recovered. Others ended up in private collections through questionable means. Your grandfather provided a solution. The Grand Plaza, I learned, was more than a hotel. It was a sophisticated operation for authenticating and returning stolen art to its rightful owners. The special guests who paid enormous sums weren't simply staying in suites. They were participating in carefully orchestrated returns of their family's lost treasures. Joe developed a brilliant system, Dr. Klein continued. The hotel's legitimate business provided cover. The losses on paper concealed the massive insurance payments for recovered artifacts. And the basement, he gestured around us. This is where we document everything before restoration. My forensic accountant's mind raced, finally understanding the brilliance of the financial structure. Numbered accounts, trust funds established for families seeking their lost heritage. Your grandfather never took payment for the returns, Dr. Klein said. Instead, he set up funds to help families maintain and protect their treasures. I checked my watch. 11:50 p.m. Why room 1207? Dr. Klein smiled. That's where it started. Go see for yourself. The top floor was the hotel's most elegant, though few guests ever saw it. Room 1207 looked like any other suite, until you knew what to look for. Hidden panels concealed sophisticated scanning equipment. The bathroom mirror was actually a high-resolution display screen. The closet housed a miniature lab for authenticating paintings and documents. This is where we meet potential clients, Dr. Klein explained. Families who've spent generations searching for their lost heritage. This equipment lets us verify their claims instantly. Why did Grandpa keep this secret from the family? I asked. Because your aunt and cousins would have monetized it, charged fees for returns, turned it into a business. He shook his head. This was never about money. It was about justice. My phone buzzed at midnight. A text from Richard. Time's up. We're filing court papers in the morning to contest the will. This hotel is coming down. I smiled, thinking of the evidence in the basement. Dr. Klein, I need your help with something. The next morning, I sat calmly in the Grand Plaza's lobby as my aunt and cousins burst through the door with their lawyers. Sarah, Aunt Victoria began triumphantly, we have proof that your grandfather was mentally incompetent when he changed his will. This hotel is going to be sold and... Actually, I interrupted, we should discuss that. I gestured toward Dr. Klein, who stood with a team of impeccably dressed individuals. May I introduce the hotel's board of directors? Board of directors? Richard scoffed. This place is bankrupt. No, I corrected. This place is the headquarters of the Legacy Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to recovering and returning stolen cultural artifacts. The hotel's losses were operating costs for a multi-billion-dollar recovery operation. Their faces shifted from triumphant to stunned as Dr. Klein presented the documentation. The Foundation's real financial statements, international awards, and letters of gratitude from families reunited with their heritage. Grandpa Joe wasn't failing, I explained softly. He was succeeding in something far more important than profit. And now the foundation's work will continue, under your leadership, Dr. Klein added, turning to me, just as your grandfather always planned. Aunt Victoria sank into a lobby chair, her perfect composure cracking. All this time we thought. You thought what you were supposed to think, I said gently. Grandpa needed people to underestimate this place, to protect its real mission. Over the next year the Grand Plaza transformed, not into something new but into what it had always secretly been. We restored the public areas, maintaining the hotel's cover, while expanding the recovery operation. Richard surprisingly asked to help once he understood the mission. His legal skills became invaluable in navigating international art law. Aunt Victoria, after initial resistance, became one of our strongest advocates in Chicago's social circles. The foundation's work accelerated. More families reunited with their lost treasures. More stories of justice served, heritage restored, history preserved. Last month, I sat in room 1207 with an elderly woman who had spent 50 years searching for a painting stolen from her grandparents. When our equipment confirmed its authenticity, she wept. Your grandfather did this for my family too, she whispered. He said everyone deserves to know their story. The secret ledger now sits in my office, though I've added my own entries. Each one represents not just a recovery but a family's healing, a piece of history returned to its rightful place. Manuel still greets guests in the lobby, now assisted by a younger staff trained to recognize the subtle signs of people searching for their past. The basement museum continues to grow, each artifact telling its own story of loss and recovery. Dr. Klein retired last year, though he still consults on difficult cases. Your grandfather would be proud, he told me recently. You've taken his mission even further than he dreamed. The family still gathers for dinners, but now they happen in the hotel's renovated restaurant. The conversations have changed, not about money or status but about the lives we've helped change, the mysteries we've helped preserve. Last week I found a note from Grandpa Joe that had slipped behind the safe, written years ago. It seemed to speak directly to this moment. Sweet pea. A hotel isn't just a building. It's a keeper of secrets. A guardian of stories. Some stories are written in ledgers, others in the artifacts we protect. But the most important story is the one we write by helping others reclaim their past. You'll write the next chapters better than I ever could. Love, Grandpa. The Grand Plaza now stands proud again, its true value hidden in plain sight. To the world, it's a restored historic hotel. To those who know its secrets, it's a beacon of hope, a place where lost stories find their way home. Every morning, I walk through the basement museum before the hotel wakes up. Each artifact, each document, each piece of recovered heritage reminds me that true worth isn't measured in profit margins or property values. It's measured in the stories we protect, the history we preserve, and the healing we help create. That's the real legacy of the Grand Plaza. And like every good story, it's still being written,